You're listening to Entrepreneur's Enigma, a podcast about the ups and downs of the entrepreneurial journey. Every week, your host Seth Goldstein interviews entrepreneurs from all walks of life about their entrepreneurial journeys. From store owners to Fortune 500 CEOs, we all have stories to tell. So sit back and join us for the next 20 or so minutes while we explore the entrepreneurial world.
Hey everyone, welcome to another edition of the Entrepreneur's Enigma podcast. I'm your host as always. After 300 plus episodes, you should know who the heck I am. I'm Seth, which I forgot who I was for a second there, but I'm Seth with Podcast Mastery and Goldstein Media. Today I have Bill Crawley on the program. Bill's hailing from Colorado, right?
Salt Lake City, actually.
Salt Lake City, a little farther west. Keep going.
Yeah.
Exactly. So the SLC, where it's nice and balmy, but you got snow in the mountains, from what I hear. So
yes, indeed. Thanks for
it's
having
God's
me, Seth.
country out there.
Happy to be here and excited.
I'm glad to have you on, buddy. So Bill has been building businesses since he was 9 years old. Over 5 decades as an entrepreneur, he's launched, scaled, and sold companies across consumer products, publishing, restaurant-driven by, and restaurants. Sorry, the M dash screwed me up there. Driven by fascination with what makes businesses grow, regardless of industry. He completed his first exit in his mid-20s and has 4 successful ones since then. Now, I'm sure there's some other ones that you'd rather not talk about, but you know, everyone says these are the successful ones. They don't mention there's 10 other ideas out there that just kind of like, it didn't work, kind of fizzled, kind of said, I don't want to do that. Let's pivot, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So his current venture, and he's a very young looking 60, but he decided just before turning 60 that he needed to help out the digital marketing space because things are too freaking complicated, and it was time that he could help things out. So he built Advark AI to cut through that confusion and give business owners the clarity and control they deserve. So hello, Bill Crawley, the CEO of Advark AI, not Aardvark, but it's a play on words, so you kind of are asking for it. So
yeah, I just appreciate the young 60-year-old. That's enough. So
well, you look great for 60 is the new 40.
Thank you.
It is. So how are you doing on this gorgeous day? I assume it's gorgeous in Salt Lake City.
Yes, it is actually. It is a beautiful day, and I'm doing well. Thank you. Yourself?
I'm doing quite well. It's 77 degrees in Philly today.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm gonna enjoy it, but not like it because it shouldn't be that warm. It should be in the 50s. 50s, but it was also, we had a blizzard like a week ago.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Explain that to me, buddy. Explain that to me. Anyhow, so what is Advark AI? Like, give us a lowdown on that. What is it? Because it sounds really cool, and you're trying to revolutionize digital marketing. So,
well, Advark is really just a giant itch that I had, and I've had it for years. And as you mentioned, I've started a few businesses in my day, more failures than successes, I'm quite sure, but I don't count because what good would that do? And, you know, throughout the entire part of my journey, Seth, it was always, the marketing was always our big issue.
It always is.
Building a brand and getting your story right, getting your message correct, getting it to the right people, just always seemed like we were doing it well, but the scoreboard didn't always show that, and you didn't know what you didn't know. And, you know, I'd spent most of my career building products that I had ideas for and turning them into companies.
Yeah. And so always an entrepreneur since age 9. So.
Yeah, I don't know why, but it's just one of those things. And
is it in the blood? Were your parents entrepreneurs?
No, they actually were not. My grandparents both were, but
so skip the generation.
Yeah, it's just like balding, I guess. I don't know. But you know, it's just something that always drove me crazy. When I first started in my career, marketing was pretty simple, and you already aged me, so it's okay to say you put an ad in the trade magazine, you went to some trade shows, you hired some sales reps, and then you focused on the business. And
Mhm.
now what you really do is wonder where all your cash is going, how an algorithm works, why no one's listening to you, and
Yeah, why
how
you have such high numbers of visitors, but none of them are converting, or
yeah,
like they're clicks, they're not clicks, they're impressions, all that stuff, yeah.
exactly. And why does it feel like everybody's getting rich off of this but you kind of thing? And
Amen, yes.
so those are some of the things that always just nod me in the back of my head. And we had hired agencies for some companies, and it turned starts out great, and then the honeymoon's over and they hand off your account to a junior guy, and he doesn't really know what's going on as well, and you're thinking, why am I cutting these guys checks? So it's like a bad diet. You get on it, you get
Oh,
off it,
yeah.
you're on it, you're off it. And so at one point I was having lunch with my wife and I said, honey, how's business? Not formally, but and she goes, it's not business anymore. It's who can spend the most money in on Google and Meta. And she goes,
Mhm.
it's very frustrating to me.
Does
And
does
that
she
just
work
kind
with you, or is she in a like,
of,
or
she has her
she's not an entrepreneur?
she's an interior designer and has a furniture store.
Ooh.
So
Ooh, so she's an entrepreneur too, but she's a,
yes,
like, brick and mortar one.
yes,
Not this stuff that's bits and boops and ones and zeros and that don't doesn't really exist. She
yeah.
actually has physical products.
Yes, and so as much as we communicate, being married for 35 years, we looked at
God
each
bless
other
you.
and I looked up and said, "Wow, you have the same pain as seems as though I do." And she looked,
She probably
"Really?"
has more because she's got more platforms to worry about, like, Google
Yeah.
My Business and that kind of stuff versus like, more online stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, so I just one day I was in the back warehouse at the last company I just sold, and I was just over physical products. I was just done with it.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
our marketing person was like, "Oh, that's in learning." And oh, we had to call a meeting every time we wanted to figure out where our marketing dollars were going. This is going on and this.
Mhm.
And I was just like, I really want to see what I can do about this problem. So I went out and started interviewing other businesses, and it seems like it's not an uncommon.
It's a little widespread coming from a marketer who does marketing for a living. It can be tough to kind of figure out where the money is going, even for the agency side, to
Yeah.
then justify it to the client. It's like you're getting results, great, but why? You're not getting results because why? And sometimes you can answer that why, but can you ever answer that why exactly? No, until Advark.
Very well said. However, you're pretty close though, in the sense that most of the business owners thought, I just have anxiety when it comes to marketing. I do it because I know I should, but I don't do it
Mhm.
well, or I hand it off to someone, then I get frustrated, and then I'm asking my waitresses if they like how this ad looks, and then I know I'm in the wrong spot. And so
Well,
that's
you don't
the
know. Sometimes
trouble.
they have good ideas. Sometimes, your staff has good ideas, but they're not the ones you're paying them for that though. So
Yeah, well, and the basic premise came back of I really don't know what I'm doing, and to me, that is a scary feeling. I don't feel in
yeah,
control. And so
absolutely.
I went out and looked at every platform there was to help marketers or help in the marketing field, but they were
Mhm.
all for marketers. And it was all for professionals who want better dashboards and better analytics and better
And
ways.
this widget, this do that, all that kind of stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the eye opener for me was is I started whiteboarding this and putting together some rough pages and so forth, asking people, okay, what does your marketing day look like? What does the flow look
Mhm.
like? Sit down and get on the computer. And they're like, I don't even know where to start usually. I get
Mhm.
anxiety about going on to the certain platforms that I don't know the rules on, and I'm setting budgets that I don't know why, and I don't know how much my arch rivals are spending. I don't know anything.
Mhm.
And so I'm wondering to myself, how much should I be spending? Well, if I ask an agency, they're going to say more.
Of
And
course.
yeah,
The exactly.
and so that all started culminating over the course of a year. And I went back in
Mhm.
and just started saying, can I solve this problem? So I
Mhm.
really just went in and said, what is it I actually want to achieve here? And it came down to, I want guys like you and me to be able to
Mhm.
level the playing field for us.
Oh,
So
absolutely.
we're
And I
not
see
out.
I see Advark as even a play for the marketing side of things too, for like marketers too.
Yes.
to have having their template in place too, not having to fly by the seat of their pants.
And that's really true too. And most of the
Mhm.
people I went out there, and we all know AI is out there and it's big and it's coming. And so, but most of the small business people are like, yeah, it's for enterprise level businesses. That's just,
Mhm.
it's either going to
Not for
run me
me,
over
exactly.
or it's not ever going to be set up for me. And as I looked at
Mhm.
some of the AI platforms, they're basically toys. And I anyway, I would go out there and I could say, "Oh, there's 16 platforms that will build you a artificial intelligence set of advertisements." And when you were done
Yeah.
with them, they looked so generic and so haphazard, and so I'm
Mhm.
like, I would never run an ad like that for my brand in a million years. And
Yeah.
so that was part of the flow is, first of all, nobody knew where they should be advertising. They had an idea, probably should be Meta, probably should be Google, but they had no data to back it up. The
Yeah,
second
yeah,
part
fly
was,
by the seat of pants, yeah.
yeah, how much should I spend? And what makes the difference? And what's a waste of time and money? And
Yeah.
the next thing is, what does an ad even look like that's good? How do I know if what I'm producing is worth
A/B
a
tests,
fee?
all that good stuff,
Yeah.
yeah.
So that's kind of how we put it together, Seth. We just laid out the pain points and said, how
Mhm.
do we achieve each one? And at each point, I would sit back and close my eyes and think, okay, rerun through 10 years of your frustration. Would this tool work for you?
We're gonna take a quick break, hear from our sponsors, and get right back to the show.
Would this
Yeah.
something that you would look up every day and go, "All right, this is what I really would want." And so that took a long time, and there's a lot of complications in, you know, taking all the platforms. So basically, I'll try not to make it painful for you and your listeners, but how it would work is Bob, who is our ICP or ideal customer profile,
Yeah.
he jumps in and he says, okay, here are three things about my business, what I'm spending on marketing,
Mhm.
what my estimated revenues are, and here's my industry. And AI
Oh.
comes in and says, all right, Bob, based on what we know about your industry, we just went out and scraped 10,000 sources of information
In 5 seconds,
in 5 seconds.
like,
And based on what we found, here's the platform you should be using. It should
yeah, I
maybe
love
it's
it.
Google, maybe it's Instagram, maybe it's TikTok, but here's how much money your people in your industry are spending on average in these industries
Oh,
or on
that's
these platforms.
wild.
And if we were smart, here is how we would allocate your budget over those platforms based
Oh, I
on
love that.
your revenue. So now Bob looks at it and goes, okay, I should be on Instagram, not TikTok though, but I should also be on Google and I should be spending $726.31 on one and $625 on another, and this is why. And then Advark never just tells you what to do; it tells you the reasoning and the
It
context.
shows you, it doesn't
Yeah,
tell you. Exactly. I
exactly.
love that, man. I love that. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
and so that took care of the first pain point of clarity of okay, where should I be,
Mhm.
and how much should I be investing in this to make a difference?
Yeah.
And once it did that, it would basically come in and say, okay, Bob, we know who you are, what you're doing. Now let's set a budget. And it would
Love
come
it.
in and let him set the budget, or he could basically
Or
say,
suggest it, yeah.
yeah, set a 6 month spending plan for me. Hit a button, and he can read about what his expectations should be if he's spending 1,500 a month in month one, and then in month two, what should happen, and how
Love it.
his ROAS should be changing and his return on investment over each month. So there's a consistency there. Or he
Wow.
can come in and take the helm and basically do it himself and but
With knowledge, though.
with knowledge. Yes. As he
Yeah.
sets that budget, it says, Bob, other people in the dry cleaning industry, they're spending this much because the algorithm is picking up the dollar amount
Mhm.
at this spend. And consistency is
Absolutely.
key here. So it's kind of a coach in
This
a
is
box.
wild.
Well, it's kind of fun what you can do with the right
Yeah.
with the right amount of tools and the right training of bots, basically. And so it's
Exactly.
it's like if you went to bed and you dreamed of having a genie sitting next to you who would answer all your questions
Mhm.
and guide you along the way and tell you when you're being smart or when you're not really thinking it through. that's really how we set this up. And I would
Mhm.
literally say, if I got up in the morning and saw this data in front of me, would I digest it or would I not? Or so we kind of put it
Mhm.
together too, sort of like a storybook. This is your
Ooh,
story.
love
So
that.
we studied how everyone's absorbing information. A bunch of dashboards usually don't help the average person. So
No.
your morning starts out, gets up and says, how do we change what's going to make the most difference in the business today? And it will give you a
Uh-huh.
quick run through of what's working, what isn't. It'll send you an email at night saying, hey, that ad we thought was going to do so well really sucks. Let's reallocate the budget. And
Love it. This is
so
awesome.
yeah, it's like a coach in a box. But the best,
Coach in a box. I love that, man.
yeah,
I love that.
the best thing
That's
about it, Seth,
fantastic.
and then I'll shut up, is the part where it says, okay, we've got your budget, we've got your customer, we know where they are. Now let's make something that they want to see. And
Yes.
it lets you build an ad completely by yourself. It lets you do it with all AI, no AI, some AI assistance. And when you're done, it goes out and compares it to all your competitors' ads right
Oh,
in front
that's
of you
sweet.
and
That's
says,
awesome.
look at their look at their message in here. Look at what
Mhm.
they think is important and what you think is important. Let's compare the two and what we
Mhm.
think is going to work the best. And then when you're done, you hit the button, and over time, it's going to come back and say, you were right, we were wrong, let's adjust. So
Beautiful. I love it,
that's
man. I
that's the
love it.
idea. And it was really everything I ever wanted from a marketing person, and never quite got there. Not
Mhm.
any fault of the marketing person. It's just
No, because you have a whole team now behind you because of AI. That's awesome.
I
So
do.
so you've done a bunch of businesses,
Yeah.
and you've done a bunch of businesses since age 9, which is amazing. What was your first business as a 9-year-old?
Well, it's funny. It was not really a set out to be a business. I kind of lived in a rough neighborhood, and we all had single parent households. And the thing was, is your bike was your means. That was how you identified yourself,
It
how
was your
you
ride.
traveled. Yeah.
It was your
And
ride.
mine was stolen one day. And so I'm walking across this bridge in a field by our house and lamenting to my posse about, what am I going to do? My mom's going to kill me and I'm not getting another bike. And we look down and we see my bike in the canal with the front wheel sticking up. And I'm like, that's my bike. And I run down there and try to drag it out of the mud. And then I see
Mhm.
another bike under the water. And it turns out that it was pretty easy to figure it out. All the older kids were kind of punks back then. They would jump on the
Oh, they're just taking it, but they didn't steal them. They took them and threw them in the water. Oh,
well,
that's
they would
rotten.
ride them to where they needed to go and then just chuck them in the canal as not to
So
have
so like the
evidence.
Lime scooters in
Yeah,
DC.
exactly. But yeah, Lime scooters, that's a great analogy. And so I took my bike out. We drug about three other ones out and I cleaned them up and put them in my garage. And my mom comes home one day and there's all these kids and I was selling the parts off the bikes and the bikes as whole. And she's like, what are you doing? Like, I'm opening the bike store. She goes, oh, okay, today only. And I'm
Well,
like,
what are you gonna say? You're like, she's like,
yeah,
okay,
yeah. But we kept doing it. She was at work all day. And one day I
yeah.
came in and I had like $45 in my pocket. And she's like, oh my goodness, that's a lot of money. Where'd you get it? I said, the bike store. And she said, all right, I think Saturdays will be fine if you want to have the kids come over and buy what they want to buy. And by the time she was done, I was making a lot of money for a 9-year-old back in 1972, you know? So,
Love it, man. I love it. That's awesome.
and that was kind
Wow.
of how it started. So
It's kind of kept on going. Did you ever work for the man or the woman or the person, or did you just kind of only do your own thing?
I've tried it once or twice and it just didn't fit.
It just doesn't fit. We think in a very different way.
Yeah,
Entrepreneurs, exactly.
exactly. And I didn't
So
just
yeah.
like it. I just didn't feel like chasing somebody else's dream. It just seemed like I was trading money for time even back then. It's
Mm,
like,
yeah, oh, absolutely, especially
so
back then.
yeah,
And that's what most people did. Exactly. I mean, people would work 60 years to get that gold watch, and then they're like, "What do I do with my life?"
yeah.
Whereas you've had 4 exits, the successful exits, and plenty of others that you don't want to mention. You're that overnight. You're the 10-year overnight success. All the analogies, all the cliches, all that stuff. So, in your mind, what's the best thing about being an entrepreneur?
I think there's so many things, but I think what my grandpa told me once really sticks to me. He said, "It's better to rule in hell than serve in heaven." And
Ooh, I
at the
like
time,
that.
I was like, "What the crap does that mean, Grandpa?" And he said, "You'll get it one day." And he was totally right. Sometimes
So true.
it's miserable and it's overwhelmingly difficult. However, it's always better than doing it for
You're
somebody else.
It's your own destiny. I love
Yeah.
it. On the other side, what keeps you up at night as an entrepreneur?
Different things than it used to be. It used to be payroll, and it used to be how I was gonna do
Mhm.
this and how I was gonna get that, and get the right employees and whatnot. Now
Mhm.
it's not to sound too kumbaya, it's just like, how can I make a dent in the world and help lots of
Mhm. Make your legacy.
yeah, just where people I don't even care if I get the credit for it, that means nothing. It's like, I want people to go, "Wow, that made a difference for my business. I didn't
Ooh, I
have
like
to
that.
suffer as much," and that's and that's not some marketing thing, that's just what kinda drives me now, and I
Love
think
it.
I work more now than I did when I was 30, so it's
Well, yeah, but you have the pleasure of working more.
yeah,
That's what matters. You
yeah.
enjoy what you do. All right, so what is the most important thing to carry with you all the time besides your phone?
I
And it can be
carry
as woo as you wanna get.
I carry this, not to date
Oh, what
myself.
is that? These kids nowadays, they don't know what that is.
Yeah,
And those for who are listening, that is a notepad.
yes, that
And
little
although
notepad.
not a remarkable notepad, like, those newfangled things. No, an actual a spiral bound notepad. I
Yeah,
love it.
5 subject notepad, and I have them dating back to, I think, 1987. I use 1 a year. It's got
Oh,
300 pages in it,
wow.
and they go back to 1987, and my problems really haven't changed. The dollar amounts have changed a little bit, but the
Yeah.
problems are still the goals are still there, the problems are still there, and as I read back 20 years ago versus 30, it's
There's a
funny.
book in there, dude.
Yeah, probably not a very exciting one, but there's a book
A
somewhere.
memoir,
Yeah. Yes. So,
Wow, back to 1987.
yep.
So these alpha generations, back to the Stone Age. Exactly, but seriously, I mean, that's amazing you kept them all, and they all survived floods and moving houses and all that stuff. That's
They
awesome.
have, and
And your wife not wanting to throw them out.
no, she does, and we struggle over that occasionally. She's like,
She's like,
"Good
"Can you get
lord."
rid of this?" And you're like, "No."
I try to have a little foresight, where you see museums and stuff of people,
Yeah.
and you look up and go, "Wow, how did they have the foresight to keep that kind of stuff?" The ledger from 1896 and
I know, it's so cool.
yeah, now it's so cool.
Archaeology,
Yeah, so
exactly,
maybe
that's
one day
awesome.
my kids will look at it and go,
Mhm.
"Wow,
Oh,
dad
dad
had
was
his
up to
share of
something.
issues. He had problems. He had
He had
struggles that
problems
we didn't
that we
know."
knew about and problems we didn't know about,
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly. So,
I love it. I love it. So people can check out Advark, not Aardvark. If you want to call it Aardvark, it's kind of well, that's your mascot is an Aardvark. So
yeah.
Advark at ADVARKAI.com.
Yep.
And you hang out on LinkedIn a lot, I see. So,
Yeah, and
you're around.
you're welcome to reach out to me directly any way you want to. Anyone who wants to go on to Advark, though, can use it for free.
I
They can
love
go
that.
on, jump on it, do
Play
whatever
with the
they
kick the
like.
wheels. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, and see what it will do for them and see if it's something that could help. But we would love to hear back if they come back and think that's the dumbest thing in the world. That's just as valuable as
Oh, it's
like
more valuable half the time
yeah,
is knowing like what broke is when
yeah,
people try it out and say, this didn't work well. And
yeah,
like this worked well. I love it, man. I
yeah.
love it.
So
Bill, this has been so much fun.
likewise, Seth, I appreciate you having me and I've just enjoyed it.
Awesome. And we'll see everyone next week.
Right on. Thank
That was a great show. If you're enjoying Entrepreneur's Enigma, please consider giving us a review in the podcast directory of your choice. Every review helps us reach new listeners. If you like Entrepreneur's Enigma, consider the other shows on the Marketing Podcast Network at marketingpodcast.net.